everybody.
Hi.
We are Screen Heroes. I'm Derek.
I'm Ray.
And I'm here.
Hi here.
Nice to meet you.
That's how we're starting things off.
Yep.
This is a very special episode of Screen Heroes.
Only because it's Thursday.
Well, and it's not going to get an episode number. This is our season 2 special.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin on the episode 50.
I know, right?
The cool thing is, though, that there's precedent for this because we have a non-numbered episode in season 1 of Screen Heroes.
It's true. It's true. We have a special pop-up episode every season.
So this is totally fine.
It is.
It's totally fine.
It's natural. Just let it happen.
Yeah. So what are we talking about tonight? Why do we have a special, guys?
Well, CW just did a 4-part crossover. Just wrapped up maybe 2 minutes ago.
4 minutes ago. It took us 4 minutes to get down here.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Fail. Anyway. This is completely unprecedented. No other television network has anything like this. No other, I guess, network has a continuing universe. So we're talking about it because it's a big deal. It's, you know, what Marvel did with their films. Completely unprecedented. Lots of fun. Satisfies our geek needs to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, and I know I plug this stuff a lot, but the last time I've seen kind of a expanded universe on TV was Star Trek.
Right.
Ryan
That
knew I was
took
going to say that.
18
Took
seconds.
18 seconds. We're still the same minute in. No, but it's true, though. I mean, Star Trek did it in the 90s, and no one else has really tried to do that.
But Star Trek also never had 4 shows on at once, and they never crossed over like this. I mean, a couple characters are on multiple shows, and of course they reference things from here to there, but even this wasn't tried back then. So it's a
pretty
cool. It's television history, whether you like it or not.
So before we dive into it, if you haven't seen the 4-ish episode crossover, there will be spoilers. We'll be talking
Yeah, you guys
about
know the
everything
deal.
that
We
happens.
spoil everything. If you haven't watched it, sorry. If you have, I mean, cool, join in.
So, okay, let's start off with what they're calling part 1 of the crossover, what I'm calling the post-credit scene of the TV world.
It was a really good episode of Supergirl. It
Yeah.
was a terrible episode of any crossover because there was not crossover.
In fact, the crossover was so minimal, they repeated the only scene that was a crossover in Flash the next day.
Yeah, when that happened, I was like, oh, come on, guys. Get real.
Get it together.
Get it together.
It is unfortunate because I love the Supergirl show, and so I'm sitting down and I'm watching, and it's a really good episode, but the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, so when's the crossover going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, well, then you see the breach, and it's like, okay, I mean, obviously
We
that's
know
a
what that
Flash
is.
breach, but come on.
Is that what we're calling it, a Flash breach? It's more of a
Whatever.
vibe
I like
breach,
it.
I guess vibe, but
yeah.
from a Flash show.
Here's what they could have done. They could have referenced the Dominators in her world. Because she talks about
She's
it
an
in
alien.
Flash.
She's working with all these alien specialists.
She
I mean,
talks about it in Flash, how she knows about them from Krypton. She doesn't mention it once on her show. That's how they could have done it. I mean, I get that they're not in the same universe, and I respect their decision to keep them separate, but that's how they could have done it. She already knew they existed. Talk about the Dominators. Make that whole episode about them instead of whatever the hell it was about, the virus and Eliza.
Medusa,
and Cyborg, Superman.
I mean, I like the episode, so I'm glad that they did it, but I think it would have been very easy for them to drop something about the Dominators since they were willing to do so
absolutely.
on the other shows. So I don't really know why they didn't do that. They dropped so many Easter eggs. They dropped a Batman Easter egg in Supergirl.
Yeah. The DEO has just endless categories of aliens. I don't know why it couldn't have even just like popped up. And, you know, Alex says, oh, who are the Dominators? You know, easy peasy, rice and cheesy.
There's a lot worse throwaway lines about characters in the show. So
can we just skip Supergirl?
So yeah, the last 15 seconds, 30 seconds of the Supergirl episode was Barry and Cisco popping over.
And Kara hugging.
Help. Yeah.
And that was it.
But just to wrap, because we haven't really like talked about any of the CW shows at length, Supergirl's really good this season.
Oh, I love it.
I'm
Yeah.
absolutely loving it. It's a bit better than last season, but I feel like last season was just a bunch of growing pains, and now we're familiar with the characters. We don't need origin stories, so
it's a little less
is
monster
good.
of the week or alien of the week as Supergirl would be. They've got the cyborg Superman thing going now, which is pretty cool. They've got Mon-El, which I'm very curious to see if they ever call him Superboy, because that's pretty much who they're setting him up to be.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I love the show. As people who listen know, I'm a big fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any thoughts, Ryan?
I agree that Supergirl is the best of the CW shows right now. So.
Right. All right, so on to Flash.
So, okay. So, one problem I have with when they do big crossover events like this is everything that's been happening on these shows
stops.
Yeah, totally stops. So,
Savitar, Prometheus, Alchemy, forget about it.
Boom, nothing's happening.
Nobody
with those
worries
guys,
about it.
And so that's a little frustrating because they just built up the Savitar thing. Like we finally saw him and Barry got his butt kicked and all that, and then I guess he went on vacation, and so now we gotta go and do this.
I was happy that they didn't completely drop the Killer Frost thing, that she got to talk to Dr. Stein about it a bit.
Yeah.
Since Stein got a start on that show.
Mm-hmm. No, that was nice. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did you? So what were your thoughts on that? I'm having a hard time actually. Now it's been 3 days. Blurring the lines between the episodes have blurred a bit.
Well, so like we said, that Supergirl was the post-credit scene. To me, Flash has been Barry punishes himself for.
Right.
So the Flash episode got its redemption, I guess, back for the whole season of Barry punishes himself, because Ollie did such a great job of bringing him down. The past 4 seasons of Arrow is Ollie punishes himself for this and that. Mm-hmm. So
or Felicity punishes him.
Right, yeah. Sometimes physically. But Ollie was able to talk to him and bring him down and, say, hey, finally it's someone else in this position and I get to talk them out of it. And that was good because I didn't know how much longer I could deal with sad Barry.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be, and they even had the line, and I really like, he's supposed to be Hope. Yeah. Right? That's his thing. I love that because he's been a Blue Lantern in the comics before. So
I thought Superman was supposed to be Hope.
That was cool. In the movie Earth,
whatever
the
symbol thing.
You can't see Ryan
on my planet, this means hope.
No, but that's in the movie Earth.
In the DCEU, it means hope.
Well, we learned what Earth Supergirl is in now, 38 or something
she's
like
in
that.
8. They're all part of the DCEU. So whatever Earth the movies are in, it means hope. I think Kara might have mentioned it means that too.
Their language is different between
they could
Earths.
be. They're different Earths,
Either
HR
way,
is different.
Either way, Flash is supposed to be the happy.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the bright spot.
Yeah.
But I've always loved the relationship between Ollie and Barry.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's really like
even in the comic books it's there, and it's more between Hal and Barry, I think, in the comic books, or Hal and Ollie.
Hal and Ollie. Hal is the bridge between them, which is why I feel like a Green Lantern show should have happened. But
yeah, I'll hold my breath on that.
Yeah. Well, when Diggle was not.
What a missed opportunity. His name is John.
And he's ex-military.
So many people are named John. Both of you need to get over it.
He's black.
Stop. Oh my God, there's never been another black John ever
that
again.
was in the military and works with a superhero.
He's on a DC show.
You guys are awful.
Look, they put too many pieces together.
The Green Lantern show isn't going to happen because they want to do Oa, and they can't do that. So instead, they're just going to drop hints that Hal Jordan is in this world until they can.
They'll have a close-up flight jacket as they're moving across the screen, and that's it.
I love that.
Yeah, they've done that. And then there's
Ferris Airlines.
And every other episode.
Once they introduce Carol, we know what's happening.
Right. That's probably not even true. They'll probably introduce her because,
Barry wants to date somebody else before he marries Iris.
John's gonna need to borrow a plane for something.
That'd be cool.
That's true.
I'm down for that. Whatever.
Right. So I think she'll show up probably. But anyway, so the episode starts. The crossover that starts pretty well. They bring everybody in pretty quickly. That's fairly seamless, which happened.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. There wasn't the whole, we have to spend, an hour and a half hunting everybody down.
Right.
I also appreciate the fact that even though not every single one of these characters get together, get along, all of them are able to put their differences or personality clashes aside to join in for the greater good. They immediately trust each other. Like, well, if Barry's asking us for help, maybe we should just go.
That's what makes them heroes and legends.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because
they're calling themselves the legends.
Oliver
I'm glad they
started
made
the
fun of
whole
that.
Super Flaro Legends verse, but Flash is the one that is like the linchpin between all the different.
Yeah.
I agree.
They've definitely made him the cornerstone of the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I
think that doesn't work well with the Arrow characters because they're a little more grounded in reality.
Ollie is also very much the lone wolf of the group. He's not...
Even though he has the most sidekicks.
Yeah, he's only got 17 different sidekicks.
It's the same with Batman, though.
He's not the biggest fan of that, though. He makes comments about how they're reckless and they're inexperienced.
And then Felicity shuts him down in front of all his people.
He's the one.
No mask. We're not going to talk about this.
He's the wannabe lone wolf. He wants to be the lone wolf, but he just can't bring himself to do it.
Well, because honestly, if he really was the lone wolf, he would have killed himself by now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Or somebody
would have
would've,
killed him.
Yeah.
He punishes himself way too much.
How did you guys think about the main initial conflict being the mind control of everybody but Ollie and Barry?
I thought it was very Young Justice-y. Like
Yes.
Season 1 finale of Young Justice-y, where they all got the little thing in the back of the neck.
The chip.
And the Justice League did, and the Young Justice folks had to take them down.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't go that route because I felt it would have been cheaper.
It's kind of weird that they're just like taking a bunch of the storylines from Young Justice, which I guess came from the comic books originally. But
yeah, it's more based on Invasion, the comic book story Invasion, than it is anything else.
But maybe Young Justice was based on that as well,
Yeah.
and so it seems that way for people that haven't read all the comic books that this was based on that. But they've also got Superboy and the Cadmus storyline going in Supergirl, so it's just a lot of stuff that was successful on Young Justice that they're kind of bringing into the live action.
But it's good to see somebody try to take cues from positive things that have happened in the franchise, because we all love Young Justice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Super excited about season 3, and once it's out, we'll do an episode by it, and it'll be great. I feel like each episode was a way for them to do completely different stories that all the writers have been dying to do. They sit there in their little writer's room and they're talking like, oh my gosh, don't you just want to see this hero fight this hero already? Wouldn't that just be really cool? How can we make this happen? Well, mind control. Let's do it for the crossover. And that's what this was. And, Arrow's episode was, well, what if they never got on the boat? What if Laurel is still alive? And they could do that there. And then this last one was half time travel, half let's just have a brawl.
You can't do Legends of Tomorrow without time travel.
Right,
That's
and I'm good with that.
About.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
So we got to see Wally running and being fast
on
the main Earth.
Yeah.
So I did like that they were like, his vitals are even better than Barry's, because in the comic books,
Wally
was faster and more powerful than Barry. He was
Wally was the fastest Flash. He was
the most powerful Flash. So that
so
was
I'm glad
cool.
that they're still going with that.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see how far they go with that, because if Barry's starting out every episode saying I'm the fastest man on the planet or whatever,
I'm
then
the second fastest man alive.
Second. Well, I'm actually like 14th behind Zoom, Reverse Flash, Kid Flash,
Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick.
Maybe they should rename the show
Supergirl.
The Flashes.
Ooh.
Maybe.
And then because
then it might be about streakers.
Yes, true.
But here's the thing. What do you do now? You have Wally, and he's from the same Earth. You have Jesse Quick. She's from a different Earth. Jay Garrick's from a different Earth, so you can get around having them around all the time. But Wally's from the same Earth, so what do you do with him?
Well, Arrow has 14 sidekicks at any given time, so I don't think that.
I think it'll be fine.
I mean, he has Killer Frost, Vibe.
They got a lot of metahumans.
Kid Flash now, yeah. So I mean, he's got some sidekicks. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal.
Thing is, though, when the sidekick is more powerful than the main
I don't think
guy,
they're going to play that up, because I mean, I'm pretty sure in the comics it took a while for Wally to actually realize that he was more powerful than Barry, and at that point Barry wasn't even in. He was lost in the Speed Force.
So I hate to make this like comparison, but it's not the size that matters. It's the motion of the ocean. It's how you use it kind of thing. Well, Barry's has 3 seasons of... What's going on?
Nope, we got some chat.
Sorry. Okay, so for those who are not...
So many, like, head bobs.
We didn't really go over this at the beginning of the episode. So we actually have Nicole back helping us with the Twitch stream tonight. So for
Which
those...
she did in season 1.
Yes.
Yay.
So welcome
Thank you,
back, Nicole. Thank you.
Thanks.
So what's going on in chat?
Oh, I was trying to be really subtle and be like, hey.
Yeah, but they can't see that.
Yeah,
so.
I can't see anything. I'm sorry.
Well, Ryan's not very subtle either.
I was
anyway, so Doc Rev wanted to talk about how he didn't really care for the aliens and how they looked.
I didn't either.
Not a fan.
Yeah, like were they communicating by telepathy the whole time with everybody at the exact same time? That's a little weird for me. But like
lots of aliens have done that.
Yeah, but I think they did that to save animation costs of animating the mouth when they're talking, and it was kind of obvious that that's what was going on.
I know what they're trying to do between Doctor Who and Paul, and now this. They're taking the classic alien hippie thing from Roswell from the 1960s and trying to adapt it into, well, what would they look like in real life then? And I'm over it. Doctor Who did it in a scary way, Paul did it in a funny way, and the Dominators were just not
well, at least
cool.
Paul had Sigourney Weaver.
Well,
they looked more like Slender Man than anything to me.
I'm going to ask a simple question. What should they have looked like? Because I think that's a fair question to ask, because we're in a time now where practical effects are expensive, in many cases more expensive than CGI.
I don't think that would have been the case in this one.
What would they have looked like?
They could have looked the same, except practical, and it would have looked better.
Dominators, I was hoping were going to be like giant, like big juggernauts of...
Well, that's a lot harder to do mocap for.
Notice that all the scenes, too, where you had...
Well, you have to care, because that's how the episode's going to look.
Look, you just said, what should they look like?
And
I came up with...
I'm posing concerns about those ideas, because I don't think there would have been a perfect answer.
I liked the teeth. I thought the teeth were really cool. They kept me, like, on the verge of, well, I can't trust these guys ever. Their teeth are exposed.
Well, I think they hadn't figured out how the mouth looks, so that's why they never used their mouth to talk, so the teeth just kind of stayed this way. I think they were really clever with the way they did the aliens, though, despite the design. Like, in all the scenes where you were going to see an alien up close or interacting with people, it was in, like, a weird vibe vision. So it was, like, weird lens flary, and then you got them on the ship with the communicator, and it's all, like, computery.
Mm-hmm. So that was clever.
Yeah, so they could do these things, and it wouldn't cost them as much because it didn't have to be super high-res or anything.
Their butts were really, like, unsettling.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, I don't really think that they needed to be attractive butts on the Dominators.
Well, I don't think she says it means they need to be attractive. I think they just mean to not be unsettling. You know, they need to be settling. They need to make me settle when I see their butts.
The extended limbs were something that was kind of unnerving too.
I like
but
that.
On the good side of the creation was good. In Return to Oz, there was the Wheelers who had the extended limbs, and they were very scary because of that and the like creepy teeth. And so I thought they reminded me a little bit about the Wheelers. If you ever watched that movie or read the book, they're creepy guys.
Fair enough. I thought they were fine. I thought they were the best you could hope for on a TV show budget, especially on the CW.
You're right.
You know, when you have a cast of 15 characters that you have to pay for more episodes than usual. You've got so many aliens you have to show at different times. You have spaceships you have to show, all the powers.
And how many sci-fi shows that we've seen so far have had giant alien invasions? It's a common trope, so you have to create something fast and easy and be able to copy and paste it a bunch of times. So I get it. I don't have to like it, but I get it.
Well, I just meant kind of a little bit of slack was all I meant. That's all I meant. You know, because I think that
you sound like Ollie.
Look, I think that we've seen CGI just as bad in movies, and movies don't have the same excuse that a TV show has.
Oh, you're totally right.
So I think that since it's on the CW, since it had to span...
It was on par with some of the Fantastic Beasts. Not all of them, but some.
I mean...
So, talking about the Flash episode some more, I think we got our introduction to Cisco Smoke in this episode too, close relative of Felicity.
Okay, for a second you lost me. So
Blaming Ollie or blaming Barry for
everything.
Like,
Yeah.
you killed my brother, even though you had to watch your mother you murdered 5 times right in front of you, and you decided to save her this one time.
He's watched her death so many times.
There's
now.
17 flashes watching the death, like, from all the different angles when you think about it.
Yeah, at some point there's too many to fit in the room. But here's the thing: I don't mind that he was upset. What bothered me was how often they kept going back to it.
Yeah.
He is perfectly, within reason, all practical reason to be mad that Barry took it upon himself to change the timeline.
Except, that part he's okay with doing, but I don't think he's okay with being like, you're a bad person and can't be my friend anymore because you killed my brother.
Yeah,
I
that was a little extreme.
I get it.
His brother ratted him out in season 2.
Yeah.
That he was Barry Allen. Cisco was the one that told his brother that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Cisco is completely innocent in this whole thing anyway.
I know, but, I understand it. It just bothered me that they kept hitting it so hard in an episode that I don't think really called for it.
It wasn't even just that episode. It was like
Well,
every episode of the crossover, but it was kind of her introduction.
They kept,
to me, Caitlin had a bigger reason to hold a grudge because Cisco, like Ollie explained, there's no telling that that Dante wouldn't have died in some other way, some other time. We watched his doppelganger die in season 2 from Zoom, so it's totally possible that Dante, being related to Cisco, who is now Vibe, could have gotten caught up in the crosshair at any point. This was obviously a plot device because they didn't want to bring the actor back and they wanted to give Cisco more motivation as a character. But Caitlin, to me, had a bigger motivation of being upset, and if she can work past the whole my entire DNA has changed, then Cisco can get over this, especially when he puts into perspective that Barry was in pain and had seen both of his parents die.
Well, she's the only one, between the two of them that is, who's negatively affected day to day in this new reality. Cisco wouldn't know the difference, right?
Correct.
His life is not bad because he doesn't have a brother. He doesn't have to hide who he is, or his job hasn't changed or anything like that. He's still who he is, minus something he didn't even know he had. Versus Caitlin knows what it's like to be human and be a good guy, and she knows about the bad version of herself, right? So this is actually affecting her in the new timeline in a negative way, and I think that's much more difficult to deal with. But it doesn't, I get that Cisco's mad. I just didn't think that it should have been the main thread to go through the 3 episodes for this giant alien invasion.
I think that's fair, but I think that I think he has a right to be mad. I just don't think I think he's a logical person.
Yeah.
And he didn't even like his brother that much.
No, he said it multiple times.
I feel like they're just making it more of a point of drama.
He doesn't know that he didn't like his brother, though.
Well, maybe, I'm assuming up until that point, he probably didn't like his brother either. I mean, it was...
My siblings and I aren't that close either, but it's not like I'd want to see them die. So
well, yeah.
I get both sides.
That's fair.
Here's what I think they should do. Cisco and Felicity just need to get married and then drive off a cliff. Thelma and Louise.
I like Cisco other than this.
I love Cisco.
So I'll get touching on, this is kind of crossover related, I guess, but I do have a theory about Cisco and Caitlin that I just want to get out there before we actually start discussing, like, in our mid-season finale or mid-season whatever episode we're going to do, my prediction. So we saw that Cisco vibed and saw himself fighting Killer Frost. I think that was actually Cisco was the bad guy in that situation,
too.
Yeah.
and Killer Frost was trying to stop him, and I think that they were doing a red herring to get everybody to think that she goes bad, but really in this case it was him that went bad.
I completely agree with you.
So
I think that's very likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really well done because it just kind of struck me.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the episode, I was like, okay, she's bad. Like, I get it. And so there's probably a lot of people that thought that way. And then I was like, well, maybe they were just trying to screw with us. And that's not the case at all. When he started getting down this emo path that he's on, that's when I was like, well, okay, maybe.
So, one thing that Flash did really well is I absolutely love Barry and Kara's interactions always. And every time they're together, I ship them so hard.
I think everybody
I'm like,
does.
they're so adorable. They're
Who are you shipping?
Barry and Kara.
No way. I'm on the Raymond train.
What?
Kara and Ray.
Or Ray. Yeah, Ray Palmer.
They have one interaction.
I know, but it was enough to make me go, what? This is perfect.
Yeah,
Make
but-
it
but-
happen.
When
But
he
remember-
compares her to his cousin, yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
No. There was one in, I think, the Flash episode.
I will say this, I actually loved that little Superman Returns joke that
Yeah.
they threw in there where
was
Ray
great.
says that she reminds him of his cousin. I love that so much. Because I love Brandon Routh, and he was not the problem with Superman Returns. Which
No,
is a
Bryan
conversation for
Singer
another
was.
Time. But I just love that they were able to throw that joke in there, and he's got a sense of humor about it.
But it did hurt the soul a little bit when Felicity was like, it's like looking in a mirror. And I was like, only if you were written better.
I didn't understand.
And had superpowers and weren't aliens.
I didn't get why Felicity said that.
Yeah.
Because blonde ponytail and glasses. That was it. That was the only reason
Yeah,
why
see,
she
that's-
said it. And
Ray's
that to
thing
me
was
is
funny because
yeah.
it was meta
Yeah.
and kind of fourth wall breaking. But
Felicity's thing was like, hey, let's pander to the fans a little bit.
I didn't get
No,
that.
we're
Let's
good.
pander to the fans that are huge fans of her, Felicity. And
All right, so we have the episode. They fight for a little bit.
They do.
It's a little ridiculous that Barry and Ollie not only can put up a decent fight, but can win that fight.
yeah.
I was happy to see Thea suit up for
Yes.
somebody
I will
who's
say
retired. She
The
keeps
choreography in the Flash episode was not good.
No.
No.
It was very, noticeably bad.
Yeah. Again, I think that's the problem. I think they had to pour their budget into so many things for the crossover.
Yeah.
That was an area that probably got hit.
But it's weird because in the other episodes it was not bad.
wasn't-
I'm talking about the Flash episode specifically. The choreography in that episode was not good.
That's fair.
I don't know if they have a different fight choreographer on the Flash set. I would think they would.
They're next to each other.
Yeah,
so.
I would think they would use like the same guy on a crossover like this, but it sure didn't look like it to me. So
That's fair. That's fair. I thought it wasn't as good too. I didn't really think about it all that hard. There might have been some reason.
yeah.
Yeah. I liked some of the interactions. I liked Rory's conversations with Supergirl.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah.
funny. Skirt.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I was actually a little upset when he was like, help us, Supergirl.
Yeah,
I wanted him to say, help us, Skirt.
I agree.
I don't know.
thought
See,
that was-
I thought it was kind of funny because it was him acknowledging that he actually needs her help, like in
Yeah.
a legitimate way,
That's
not
fair.
being sarcastic.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's kind of some growth for his character. That he's really not the bad guy he wants everybody to think he is.
No, well, I mean, we know that.
They gotta
Right,
stop
but-
writing that storyline. A few episodes of Legends ago, they talked about him being the animal and Vixen like telling him he's not.
Yeah.
I was like, didn't we do this
Yeah.
last
it's
year?
With White Canary.
And they
him,
make
yeah.
jokes that he's dumb, and I was like, what about all that time when he was Kronos?
Yeah, and he was
got
whooping
really
all of you?
educated. Like, this is stupid, guys.
It's a little
Can we
inconsistent.
just stop?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
let's talk about Arrow.
Okay, so yeah, so they get beamed up to the ship.
So Arrow, I'm just gonna say it. It's my favorite episode of
Yep.
that show. It was
Ever or the season?
of the Arrow series. Period.
That was my favorite episode of the crossover and definitely my favorite episode of the last two seasons. I loved it. I loved everything about it.
So seeing Oliver interact with Black Canary and knowing that she's dead,
Yeah.
but knowing that this stuff, I am not an emotional person, but there were a couple scenes in there when I was like, oh my gosh, I'm tearing up a little bit.
Watching
because
him
how
talk
it
to
goes.
both his parents at the same time and to have all four of those actors in the same room, him, Thea, and
Well,
the
put
two
yourself in
parents.
that position a little
Right.
bit. Like
Oh,
if
yeah.
you've lost somebody close to you and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
if I got this chance to talk to him again, when he goes and hugs them and he knows he has to leave, it's like, oh my
That's
gosh.
why I'm glad one of them had some hesitation
Yeah,
about leaving.
Thea
I thought
at the
that was
end
important.
saying that she wasn't going to come back. I don't blame her.
No, not
you
at
know,
all.
a good chunk of you may want to live in that reality for the rest of your life.
I figured. I didn't think it was going to be John to be that person, but I knew one of those four had to be this is pretty great. Why should we leave person?
Right.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm glad that they did that.
I actually think that even though Laurel's alive in this, Sarah enjoys her life as an assassin more than she does as,
Yeah,
little sister to Laurel.
I'm sure that that's very true. I mean, she's had a pretty interesting life.
Right.
So this was episode 100, which they had been teasing for a long time, and not until recently did I realize that lined up with the crossover.
Yeah.
But
Stephen Amell, if you follow him on Facebook, he's been saying that for a long time.
I follow him, He just gets lost in the stupid feed. I need to pay closer attention
Yeah.
to
His
him on
stuff is,
Twitter.
if you don't follow him, he's actually one of the few celebrities I think that's actually worth following because he posts really meaningful things.
He does.
He actually
As well
shares
as funny
personal
stuff
things,
and-
funny things. He
yeah.
interacts with his fans.
I've
on the
watched
All
some
the
of his
time.
live streams, and
He does those like once a week.
they're great. I mean, he's really
He'll
good.
be in costume or have like fight makeup on.
There was
and,
one
like,
that I did.
this-
He was actually just at home on his treadmill.
Oh,
It was pretty awesome, and he's just answering
he
questions.
does fan
while he's,
Q&As. Yeah, it's really great. So if you're a fan of the show, you should go follow him.
If you guys just think this is hyperbole too, it's not. Our friend Jessica, who is elite Supergirl here in Kansas City, tried for weeks
Oh,
to get
yeah.
in contact with him, and he finally responded to her, and the two of them are actually friends now,
Mm-hmm.
and they work on certain charities together. So
Yeah, they do
this-
charity bets.
This isn't hyperbole. Like,
So.
he does connect with people, and it may take you a few tries because a lot of people are also trying, but she got through, and you can too. Like,
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. But one thing that was very noticeable for me in this episode, though, was that was not Manu Bennett as Slade.
I'm cool with it. We've talked about this before. I hate you, Manu.
Well, okay, but that aside,
That's a personal thing. That's not his acting.
So that whole scene was. Well, I'm more talking about the scene with all of them on the lawn.
yeah,
So
That was cool.
To start the scene with Laurel and Oliver right then was the most emotional scene for me. I
Yeah.
thought it was when it was like she's begging him not to go and doesn't understand what's going on. It's like that just tears at you because
that's some of Amel's best acting. I've
this whole
seen.
crossover was some of his best acting.
Yeah.
Anybody that says he's wooden.
No.
There's a lot of... I could understand he's very subtle in the way that some of his acting is, but there's a lot there.
But I think that this is the best that he's been. I think he's taken this season very, very seriously. Not that he hasn't taken other seasons seriously, but I think there's something different. So I don't know what it is or what changed, but I feel like there's a little something extra in him.
It could have been the poor reception of last season. It really could have.
Well, that would
maybe.
hurt anybody. I mean,
I don't think it was his fault last
No.
season. So,
No.
but there definitely seems to be a little extra something in his performances this
And
season.
you could see, and maybe this is just me, so you guys will have to chime in, but I felt like I was watching the comic book Green Arrow and the comic book Black Canary
Yes.
interact, and that was the closest it's been in like almost any TV show that's based on a superhero for me. Like I felt like I was actually watching a scene from a comic book right
Yeah.
then, and there's been some in Flash where it was like that's like out of the comic book, but
Yeah.
this one was like a serious scene, not a cheesy. You know,
Yeah, Flashes has only been comic book-y.
right?
You know?
In a cheesy and
Yeah.
like not
Fun way.
meaning fun way. This was not in a
With,
fun
like,
way.
King
This
Shark
was
and stuff.
a relationship based thing that has nothing to do with superheroes, but you could relate it to those characters, and that was really cool.
So you talked about how this brought out emotions in you that nothing in Arrow, nothing in Flash has ever done before. And I feel like that's because there was more emotion written into this episode than there ever has been. I feel like some of the writers just, maybe they've gotten writer's remorse over the years, and this is what they've wanted to write. I've been wanting them to lead up to a good, stable Ollie and Laurel relationship since the beginning, and
Yeah.
I've never
Well, their
felt...
relationship was never really stable, but yeah, I mean, I know what you mean.
But
At least regular.
Yeah,
yeah.
regular, yeah.
You know,
There's always some weird stuff going on there.
I guess I just, from the beginning, they had really good chemistry,
yeah.
and the characters just got written apart more and more every season, and I hated it. And the death of Laurel last season was the biggest mistake they ever made. It should have been Felicity, because the character hadn't gone completely off the rails when she had been shot. It should have been her.
Yeah.
She could have ended on a much better note and changed the course of Arrow for the better.
No, I think that's a really good point. I think that all of the CW shows have been their best when they push the limits of what it means to be a comic book TV show, and not just doing, villain of the week or villain of the 6 weeks, and trying to be the soap opera with vigilantes. You know what I mean? When they have to push those limits and really be a comic book TV show at the extreme is when you get the best stuff.
Right.
And the stuff that happened in that episode, this maybe is why it stood out to me, was not like CW relationship drama.
Right.
No.
It was so far beyond that. Like when he came in and he was talking about, let's just go elope right now. I just don't ever want to lose you. Let's just do it now. Because he knew something was going on, and that
He knew
it
something
felt like
bad
it
was
wasn't
going to
right.
happen.
Yeah, he felt like it wasn't right. So, I mean,
If he didn't marry her at this moment, he was never going to marry her.
Yeah.
And look at that fight
did
scene.
that.
I mean, having, Damien Dark back there.
That was really cool to watch.
They
Right?
all got a meaningful fight. Ray got to fight the guy that killed his wife, fiance. They all fought somebody
Sarah
that
got
meant
to kill the guy that killed her
Damien
sister.
Dark, yeah.
I mean, there were so many things.
Would've
Thea
been-
got to fight her father.
Yeah, and
Which
but she's
she's
always
been
wanted to
doing
kill her
since-
father. So I mean, that's
It would have been an extra step if it had been Andy fighting John, and instead of John killing him, he showed
That would have been interesting.
like mercy. He backed off. It could have been his mental redemption. Like, maybe this is what I should have chosen at the time.
Yeah, John's story was a little bit... First off, I love seeing him as the
Green
Hood.
Arrow.
the funny thing is, like, when you first saw Green Arrow and it wasn't Oliver, I was like, who could that be? And then I was like, well, there's only one person on the set that has the suit sized to them already because they've worn it a few times.
Well, the first time I saw him, because I knew none of it was real, I actually thought there was going to be a weird moment where Ollie met himself, but the fake version of him, and it was still him in the suit, but a fake him.
Oh no, as soon as I saw the
So-
preview, I was like, yeah, it's Diggle, that's Diggle in the suit. And I'm so
I'm
excited.
glad I was wrong, because I'm like, well, that's going to be weird, but when it's Diggle, you're
The
like,
suit
that's
was a
awesome.
little different.
So,
Like, it
a
was a
little bit.
season 1 suit,
Yeah.
which was weird. But then it had like these weird stud things going down the hood that Ollie's didn't have, and I was like, that's a weird. Like you made one change to the suit, and that's that.
I did think it was a little strange, though, that he and Felicity still teamed up. There didn't seem to be a good reason for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there was a way for Ollie and Felicity to meet, and then there's that trust and that need, and they
Right.
become friends, right? I want to know how that happened.
What about Ollie?
I think
like,
it was just convenient,
so
to be honest.
the whole
Like,
smoke tower
technologies.
smoke technologies not belonging. Did you guys get? Was there something meta there, or was that just me? Like, I felt like that was like a meta thing for like they made it messed up with Felicity, and she didn't belong there.
Well, so I think it was Stephen Amell that said this. If I'm quoting a different person from the show, I apologize. But somebody, I thought it was him, said specifically to the Felicity fans, you don't always get what you want.
Oh, that was on a
And-
panel, and he
Yeah.
got so much hate for that. If you ever check out Twitter,
But I
hashtag
love that.
Felicity, it's horrible.
And I thought it was him. And I love that he
was.
said that, because the truth is you don't always get what you want. And it's important that the writers and the actors and the show creators do what they think is best for the show and those characters, not what
It's
people on
best for the-
Tumblr think is
yeah.
best
Yeah.
for the show. Because we've all been wrong plenty of times,
yes.
Yeah,
and so
we're not writers for a TV show
No.
that's gone 100 episodes. So
Of
I
course
mean,
not. And 100 episodes is a really big deal.
It is.
He also made another interesting point, because they're on the CW, so they have the fortunate / unfortunate side of being paired up with shows like Supernatural, and their actors want to hit 300 episodes.
Yeah.
Most shows don't get that kind of staying power.
Nope.
It just doesn't happen. And
If you look at CW's history, they have a long history of shows that have lasted, 7 to 10 seasons. However, they also have a long history of canceling things after 5 episodes. So you
100's a
can't
big deal.
It's a huge deal, and you should take it very seriously. And that's why I was happy that all the main characters got redemption stories, emotional stories. But I'm also happy that the 3 new characters they've brought in within the last season and a half, Wild Dog and Mr. Terrific and Ragman, got some little characteristics that broaden them a bit. I never would have guessed that the Ragman could speak the numerical language from the Torah and understand it, but now I do, and now he's a little more intelligent in my eyes.
except Wild Dog. All of a sudden, despite having seen the world saved by metahumans multiple times, is like, I hate metahumans for no reason.
Yeah, that was
no
unnecessary.
reason.
But he can do the same in letter, so you're
there's that.
you're good in
I
my
did
book.
think it was weird that not just him, but Ollie, they had to give them reasons to not like
Yeah.
Supergirl. Like, there had to be tension there for some reason. And I don't know why.
Yeah,
They needed extra drama, I guess. I don't know. The Ollie thing was a little more believable for me because we've
agree.
seen, like, anytime you trust somebody, and we've seen with Barry, anytime you trust somebody, that bad things can happen. But
Yeah.
but with Wild Dog, he's had a half season of a little bit of development, and now all of a sudden he's like, I hate metahumans. Why do you work with the Flash? Why
That
isn't
was
he like that?
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed unnecessary. And look, if you need to add drama to your 4-show alien invasion crossover, I feel like you're just making extra work for yourself.
They needed a different type of drama.
But did you? I mean, you already have the Barry thing.
Well, I'm saying
right?
for a CW show, they need that kind of drama.
And I think that's what gets in their own way sometimes.
Wild Dog's prejudice against people with powers was more so to explain why Wild Dog is there. You have Flash and Supergirl to take down a cyborg-esque character. You don't need a guy in a hockey mask with 2 guns. No, you don't. So the fact that he even got to go on the mission and he's like, well, what are you guys here?
What are you going to even do?
We don't even like you, man. Like,
So speaking of that scene, though, this was something that you brought up, Ray. Do you think that they're setting that doctor scientist woman, I'm forgetting her name now, up as a female version of Cyborg?
One, I'd be completely okay with that. They don't have to even call her Cyborg, but the fact that she actually is a cyborg.
With the arm thing and the eye thing, I mean, it was pretty spot on.
I really hope she comes back. I don't care if it's as a villain, as a hero, as another one-off.
It was a really random character to introduce, like, and then have be gone.
And it just dropped. No, she was too cool to have a doctor who believes she can enhance herself. You know, this is somebody who knows technology. It's somebody who knows surgery. Keep her around. This could be interesting. Also, you have one black woman in the entire CW verse.
Well, you have Vixen.
Vixen, yeah.
One black woman.
Well, now 2.
I thought you meant. I'm sorry.
I was referring to Vixen.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant her. My mistake.
She's a solid.
Also, we had Amanda Waller for.
Well, she's dead now.
Dead now, but she was still alive for 3 or 4 seasons of Arrow and Flash.
Where she appeared for 5 episodes a season. You know, she wasn't that big of a deal.
No, black character.
Vixen is in every episode of Legends,
and we don't know for how long though. Is the thing because she really belongs with the JSA.
She does.
So
before we stop talking about Arrow, can I just bring up one recurring character that we got to see again that we haven't seen since season 1 that I was really happy about?
Tommy?
No. The season 1 Bo.
Oh.
that Cisco got to vibe.
Got to vibe off of.
That was great. As much as I love the Kestrel that he uses, that first bow, if you read the comic books, that's what all he always used, recurve bows. Most of the time, used recurve bows, and that's just a very big part of his character. And ever since he went to the compound, it's been more like, it doesn't have the same personality.
Yeah, but he gets to do the badass thing where the bow.
But he did that once.
Pops out.
Yeah, Hawkeye does it way more than he does.
Yeah, like he's done that or no, I guess that was like a suitcase storage thing he did the one time. But
he does the bow clap
occasionally.
He does it fairly often.
It gives it more like the recurve just has way more personality.
I will say this: as soon as Ollie said the name Walter Steele, I went, "Aww." Because I really liked him from season 1.
Yeah, he was great. He's probably going to end up being Prometheus.
That's interesting. That's an interesting
thought. That would be...
I don't think he's going to be, but it would be.
They didn't kill him off. He did just leave.
And they did say it's somebody from season 1 that is going to be Prometheus.
Oh,
the
I
writers
missed that.
have said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so that was pretty much Arrow. They managed to steal the ship, and only Thea thinks about pressing a button and see what happens.
Ryan and I both said that it was our favorite episode of the whole crossover. How'd you feel about it?
Oh, I definitely think it's the strongest. It's absolutely,
which is crazy considering
across the board.
Arrow was so bad last
but when
season.
you think about it though, if you give Arrow all of the resources that it had when it was the show,
that's true,
right? It was awesome. Right there, it was really fantastic.
The first and second season were much stronger than what the third and the fourth were.
I mean, the first half of season 3 wasn't bad.
I like season 3 quite a bit. But
didn't like the actor who played Roz, and I thought the entire storyline of him wanting Ollie to be the next Roz was stupid. I mean...
Okay. I thought it was fine.
Well, we're not going to talk about Arrow season 3, but my point is that when you give the original show, the cornerstone show, they might be using Flash as the...
cornerstone for the universe,
right? As the plug for everything, the crossover. But Arrow is the stone that started everything, right? Yeah. So when you give them back everything that they had and you give that its full focus, I think you're going to get the best out of it because I think Stephen Amell is probably the stronger actor.
My only issue was the CG characters at the end that popped up as the ghosts, and it's
really
not. I liked the idea of the plot.
It was
added
pretty
to it.
rough. CG too.
Tommy and
I thought it was supposed to look like Force Ghosts. I mean,
Tommy and Roy looked cut off. They looked like
Roy was. If you actually looked at Roy,
It
that
was
was like
bad.
a weird composite. It wasn't
Yeah.
even the same actor.
Yeah.
Like they had his head
I
on
guess
somebody
I
else's
guess it
body.
happened too fast for me
they
to
did
notice.
the same thing with
but
Tommy. It wasn't him.
Yeah,
It was weird.
Maybe. Yeah,
I think it
thought
would have
was
been
bad.
tough. I think to find a good shot from stock that would have been completely usable. But I don't know. I guess I wasn't looking at the Force Ghosts that
Would
intently.
you stop calling them
That's what they
that?
look like. They
Oh
look
my
like
God.
Force Ghosts.
They did not. They were not all blue.
They weren't normal. There's nothing else to
Anyway,
compare them to.
let's talk about Legends.
All right, so the Wave Rider comes back and saves the day because the poster had Vixen in it, or the previews had Vixen in it.
And-
Real quick though, before I forget,
You're mad that Martian Manhunter
Where
wasn't
was
in
he?
it?
Yeah, I knew that's where he was going
he is
too.
on the poster, on Supergirl's poster.
Yes.
It is her and him, and they just gave him his health back from him turning into a white Martian. Where was Jean?
I
But
agree. He should have been on there.
He's kind of not a necessary character because him and Supergirl have very similar power sets.
I agree with that, but when you put him on the poster, you set an expectation.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, when you think, I mean, what?
He was in the episode.
If you have Martian Manhunter and Supergirl, you don't need any of the rest of the heroes. Like,
And you
that's-
combine Flash, like they don't. The rest of
But
them
Yeah.
think of
could
some
be
of the
there.
stuff they could have done. They could have had him look like one of the Dominators to like infiltrate or something.
Ooh, that could
like
be
they
cool.
could have done some. He has such amazing powers, and he's such a good actor that they could have done some cool things with it. And you put him on the poster. If you don't want him in the crossover, don't put him on the poster. Then I would not have expected him.
Derek rant over.
I'm sorry, I'm bummed. He's one of my favorite characters in
But
all
no,
of
we
DC.
did finally
so-
get to see Steel and Vixen in
Yes.
the crossover, which they have been noticeably absent. Not missed, just absent.
Also, where was Artemis during the whole Arrow episode? We just found out that she's working for Prometheus or working with Prometheus,
Yeah,
and then
no.
she's just gone. So,
Just taking a break.
She wasn't even in it.
right, I didn't miss her, but
Yeah,
it was
right.
a little weird.
Yeah.
That storyline just went on
just
hold.
taking a break.
Yeah. That is a little interesting.
She
Was
took
the only-
PTO.
Was
Yeah,
she
she
the
had-
only one?
Yeah, her grandma
she
got
was-
sick that weekend, and so she had to
She
take
was
it
the
off.
only one
She
missing.
was the only regular cast member of any of the shows not to show up?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Anyway, on to Legends.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ryan, you made an interesting point. What does Steel need the helmet for?
Yeah,
He
it's
doesn't.
also
I
why are
do
they
like
using
this-
black eye makeup
Yeah.
with and whatever.
I like his suit. I don't like the helmet, but
No,
I
the
like the
suit is very cool, and
It
it's
looks cheesy to me.
But
Well,
it's supposed
Why
to.
does it stop here? Like, is this the 80s? Are we wearing guys like wearing midriff shirts now? Like, what's
I
going
assume
on?
it's so he doesn't have to be naked to be all Steel.
But like, what is having this exposed do for him?
Look, there are so many women in costumes that have
I
their
don't think
midriff
that's good
exposed.
either.
Finally, a dude does. It's
Not in the
just-
Arrowverse.
It's just fair play
It's
to
not
use
in the
Mr.
Arrowverse that
Terrific.
way.
In the CW verse, they've done a pretty good job of making realistic costumes for everybody.
Yeah. I
And
just think that
no
one's
woman
silly,
has
like
had
the
her
design.
midriff exposed. Not one.
Yeah, they've all been. Pretty.
Now you're thinking about it, but it's true. Not one has had her.
I mean,
midriff.
Supergirl had the one costume change.
Yeah, there
I
was
think,
the one
showed
shot.
but
that was just the one.
and it wasn't on CW at the
Yeah.
time, but yeah,
That's true. So we can give that a pass. But, all right, so what did you guys think of the episode? I think it's the weakest of them.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I thought it was the worst. I didn't like the resolution of the whole thing. I thought it was stupid.
It was patched together really sloppily.
It was like the way you have to is if you're gonna do it was a 3-part crossover, right? 'Cause
Yeah,
we didn't have
it's a
the fourth.
3-part crossover.
So
I mean,
the first
obviously,
one,
Supergirl is the weakest crossover one. We know that. But-
basically, you're gonna have the first episode for the build-up, which they did, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The problem was the second episode, despite being the best of the 3, it was not doing much to progress the story at all.
No,
It
so they had
progressed
to-
the Arrow story, not the Dominator one.
Right, and so they had to push whatever plot development was going to happen in that episode to the Legends episode, which made it seem super rushed. So you got the build up, the climax, and the ending all in one 37 or 41 minute show, however long it is.
Now,
with
I
commercials.
absolutely adored the idea of going back to the 1950s, especially since in previous Legends episodes they have shown Dr. Hayward to be a very good historian. You know,
Right.
he is not shabby at his job at all. So the fact that he was able to figure this out and go back there, I thought was a great...
But they had to rush that whole thing, and then they
They
had to have the
did.
Cisco plot device. Oh, I just happened to steal this communicator from the ship.
Yeah,
and you didn't want to tell anybody about it, or like you didn't. Nobody else thought to do that. I mean, it was.
I just thought it was a little unnecessary because they could have just had a conversation with the alien.
I think. Yeah.
You know, like he didn't need to steal the thing.
Cisco is a creator that a character that his only purpose in the show at this point is to create literal plot devices. Things that that's all he does.
Cisco and Felicity throughout this whole crossover were there for plot device and exposition, like to explain the plot device.
They answer the questions everybody always has about Batman's gadgets, right? Like who built the Batmobile and who built this and that.
Right, but it reduces their character to like.
I agree. It hurts the character, but it does answer questions that people have always kind of made fun of.
I'd rather have a better character and not care about the answer to that question. And the comic books have gotten away without answering that for 70 years or something.
Yeah, but they are comic
BVS, they did such a great job of just showing both Jeremy Irons and Ben Affleck working on stuff together.
Yeah, without going, hey, here's a plot device that will let you transport between worlds.
I know, but we're also comparing 1 2.5 hour movie to
I took a ton of writing classes throughout my whole English degree thing, and so many of my teachers told me to show it, don't tell it. And I'm tired of the exposition and the plot device. I love that Kara got the universe jumper,
we all
because
love that.
I want to see her and Barry interact more and all the other characters interact more.
If they had, maybe I'm just really used to it because like that
Star
techno
Trek
babble is what Star Trek is based on. Everything is
but Star Trek can get away with that. You know? Like this show doesn't use that for important reasons. It just solves their problems with like an actual physical object that you hand to somebody. And that's that. I mean, you got the wand, the Harry Potter wand that he made.
The wizard wand.
The
weather wand, I mean.
Have a time machine, Ryan. It'll solve your problem.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's true.
I mean,
but it's like we're running short on time. No, you don't. You aren't running short on time because you literally have a time machine and you could just go back again. You're not running out of time at all.
Well, that's a time travel issue, right? Because
it's a writing issue too.
So if you look at this episode of Legends of Tomorrow and they go back to the 50s, right? When they leave everybody because Cisco wants to get away from Barry, why don't they just re-arrive like 10 seconds later from the time they left?
They never do that.
Right? They never do that. Nobody ever does.
Yeah.
Because they still have to have time pass in the normal world.
Right.
But see, because of all this, it would have. My whole point with bringing that up was that it was going to be, if it was a true 4-part crossover, it would have worked a lot better. Because then you could have had the Arrow episode, and you could have had all that, the starting build up of the team and everything in the Supergirl episode.
Yes.
And Flash could have been like up to a climactic thing, and then you take a short break with the Arrow episode for something that's actually really deep, and then go the follow-up on Legends, and you could have gotten a longer shot of the 50s and somewhere in there.
Here's why they couldn't do that, and it's because each actor is contracted to appear in a certain amount of episodes, and if they don't get that, then basically the CW owes them money for not fulfilling their contract.
You could have put Jimmy Olsen and whatever the other guys' names are.
But
you could have put them in.
This is also Alex and
you could have put
Maggie.
all of them in there in the first 20 minutes. And
I think the issue had more to do with the fact that Supergirl is on Monday.
Yeah.
And if they had started with Flash, because I think starting with Supergirl is difficult because it's new to the CW. It's new to that universe.
It's our lowest ratings of those 4 shows, probably.
I think Legends is, because Legends is actually moving.
Oh, okay.
To Tuesdays.
To Tuesdays.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So to be after Flash, whatever.
Yeah, it's after Flash.
So anyway, I think that Supergirl, because she's new to the network, she's never really done that type of crossover thing before. She's in a completely separate Earth from the other 3 shows, that they couldn't just start everything there because a lot of those viewers aren't going to get it. But if you give them a normal episode that ends with the Flash showing up, then people are like, well, what is that? Oh, I can find out tomorrow.
Well,
right?
I mean, except that they've already had Flash on that show, so people are familiar with the character.
On CBS, and just once. So I don't think that that's the way you start the crossover. I think you have to start the crossover with the show that can do it, and that's Flash.
They should have started it halfway through then, in my opinion. To build it all together. Martian Manhunter could have crossed over too, and that would have been cool.
I think they should have started it with Flash on a Tuesday. Don't start it on a Monday just because it's the beginning of the week. You start it on a Tuesday.
Well, then they can't call it the 4-part
sure,
crossover.
you finish it on Supergirl the following week.
That you could do, yeah, that's true.
You know, I think that's the way you do it. It gets people to watch Supergirl because it's the finale of the crossover they just spent 3 nights watching, right? So people are going to tune in whether they watch Supergirl or not to see what happens.
And that would be this season finale for her too.
It would be the
Or
mid-season
mid-season.
Which is
finale.
why it wouldn't have worked.
Well, look, there's scheduling things that you could work on, right? We're doing this now after the fact, but and then what you could have done on Supergirl if she's the finale is, oh, we need some help, and Cisco made this jumper thing. Let's go grab Jean and pull him in for 1 episode.
Yeah.
Right? They could go to her universe for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, because they don't have to do a completely solo episode.
Right.
Right? So I just feel like it would have been a stronger crossover that way.
Maybe.
Starting with your best crossover show and ending with the new show.
I think that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. Could have been better that way.
So the resolution to the whole Legends thing, we're kind of running out of time, but
yeah,
Firestorm.
They had their the aliens had their whole plan wrapped up on this one orb, right? This is the worst plan ever. These are the worst world invading aliens ever.
The idea that they dropped one ship in every major city in the world was so much better than the
because then I was like, how are they
bomb
gonna wrap
that gets
this up?
liquefied in 30 seconds.
Yeah, you can't find any place to get rid of a bomb. You have Firestorm
Adam
running
West.
around with the bomb above his head.
Oh no, there's a nun.
Transmuting it, that's...
Oh man, that would have been so great.
But yeah, I mean, it was so weak. And
Fun fact, I learned Adam West did porn today.
Yeah, that's true.
He did porn today, or you found out today? Because I really need to know how old he was. What bothers me the most about this is because it's like, okay, so they flew thousands of light years in this gigantic Independence Day size ship with one bomb, and they're just going to go home when it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all gone now and never coming back.
So do they do that because they want them to come back?
No, but the idea that brought them there, it was Flashpoint, that was great. You know, I am so happy that Flashpoint is still having repercussions.
I agree with that. But it bothered me that that's why they came, because then I want to know how they know that Barry did that.
That's true.
How advanced are these aliens?
Yeah, plus...
that they're able to watch multiple timelines.
Yeah,
because
that's a very special...
time cops already? Literally the Legends? Shouldn't they be the ones dealing with this?
Right.
Like, not an alien race?
So that would be my question, is how do they know that?
Yeah.
Right?
It was kind of a gimme. Like, when you can't figure out the answer to anything, Flashpoint is the reason. And that's it.
That's
it's
fine.
like Speed Force.
I like that it has repercussions throughout the entire thing, because Flashpoint was too big of a comic series to have it wrap up in one episode, in my opinion.
I'm very glad that it's still going.
I'm fine with that. My issue with it, and I even shouted at the TV while we were watching it, was that their repercussion was Barry has to surrender himself when we've already seen multiple previews for the very next episode, and he's clearly still around.
In this episode.
Before the climax, or before the finale of the episode.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning, that's frustrating. No, I mean, I'm the kind of person who goes into the show, well, you're not going to kill the Flash on the Flash.
Even though there's so many other
there's
Flashes.
7 different Flashes they can go with.
He's Barry Allen, though.
Yes,
they're not going to do that. I just know they're not going to do that.
Can we talk about how, for just a second, how inconsistent his powers were throughout this whole crossover, too?
I thought he just...
In one scene, he's
he's just fast.
Well, also his Quicksilver scene. He decides to turn the bullet up like this and move a guy's gun down. Why don't you just go take all their guns, Barry? And then you don't have to worry about them coming back and shooting you 2 seconds later like they did.
I think it was just them showing that they could do it on a TV budget.
That's fine,
That's kind of funny.
But they could
big middle finger.
That's how I took it. I was
Singer.
like, that's kind of how I took it. Like the biggest, most exciting scene in the last 2 X-Men movies, supposedly, what we were told anyway, was kind of just done on the CW.
But the things he did were stupid, though. And why don't you just take their guns? He could have done the same thing. Take all their guns, and then they go find a pile of guns 10 miles away or something.
You're totally right. I think they did it specifically to show that they could do it.
Maybe,
that's how it came off.
But it still would have been the same thing if they had taken the guns. Other than him not moving the bullet up, it's
I just felt like it felt very on purpose.
It was just maybe it was. So, I just think I hate how inconsistent his power set is through all the shows.
I don't take it as the power set being inconsistent. I just take it as him just doing different things with it.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of scenes where somebody with a gun stops him. So what do
you mean?
look at his main villain, Captain Cold, right?
Oh.
You know, in anything.
Yeah. Sorry.
He can't take the gun away from Captain Cold, but he can literally walk up to a bullet and go like this, and then move another gun down.
I kind of felt like it's shown his progression over the years. He hasn't fought Cold in a while.
I think it should have touched Adam's eye.
That would have been great. Yeah, just hit the visor and go ping in like slow motion, like
that
in the
would have been
Superman
cool.
Returns.
Yeah, that would have been neat.
I was more making another reference to Superman Returns, where it did touch his eye,
which was actually a pretty cool shot.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
The movie does a couple of small things well. That was one of the things that movie does well.
Yes.
So all right. So yeah, it gets wrapped up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, the aliens could come back whenever they want, if they would want to. I'm not really sure what this resolved. It just seemed like they got scared and ran away.
Well, it's because they tried to cram so much into 3 episodes instead of 4 that they had to rush it into the last 10 minutes, and you don't really get an explanation.
The nanotechnology that was dispersed looked very painful for them. So, you know, if they have that, maybe they would want to avoid it completely.
And then literally, were we supposed to believe that Supergirl and Flash ran through every alien in the entire world and placed a nanotechnology thing on them?
I took it as the North American continent.
What about all the aliens over in...
No, you're totally
They're
right.
still there.
I was just trying to limit the practicality of what they did, because they're both very fast. But that seemed additionally impossible.
But it's a power set thing. Like where's his power levels? You know.
Well, that one goes for Supergirl too, though. I mean,
right? Is she as fast as Flash? Because then what's even the point of Flash? You know.
Well, that's why they're on different Earths. So
I guess
it's okay.
Anybody else enjoy the Firestorm line, Pound Town?
I mean, it was ridiculous.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It fit the character.
Yeah, but it didn't suit the moment.
But I think it suited the character, and I think that the characters don't always suit the moments that they're put into.
You're right. So a couple small things before we wrap. I really enjoyed the group hug, and
it was cute.
The presidential end where they're all standing in line and Mick and Sarah have the exchange about how hot the president is.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
I thought it was funny when Mick said it, and then when Sarah said it too, I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's a confirmation.
Although it was kind of weird having Vixen there. Nobody recognized that this hero from the 1950s is like...
Nobody had a problem with Supergirl.
Who they've never seen before.
But there's a history of Vixen.
But how many people in 2016 would just happen to know
I
what
would
she
think
looks
the
like?
Government would be like, why is this person from 1950 or 40, you know, whatever.
Maybe.
Here? I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
I mean, now there's going to be
and there's been a new Vixen also.
Well,
so
there's that. What?
There's going to be a DEO on
I thought that was interesting. I'm sure that's on purpose for some other story stuff that they're working on. But
of course. Small little throwaway lines.
I will say this. There was one little thing I was hoping for that would have been maybe a little cheesy, but I'm kind of bummed they didn't do it. And that's
I'm glad they got the group hug.
The big hangar that they use that's clearly supposed to become the Hall of Justice. Did anybody want like a quick fast forward to when it looked like the Hall of Justice?
No.
That was just me.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see
I like that there were 17 American flags hanging in every
they
corner.
They were so heavy-handed with Barry standing in front of the flag and
like walking
shot.
away.
It didn't matter where he was. He
There's
always had a flag behind
I just want to
him.
point out those flags were less distracting than you two talking over the dialogue.
Oh,
I will say that.
What's the need for a flag on each side?
I don't know. But here's the
Why
important
have
part.
friends come over if you're not going to talk about stuff?
After this is us talking about stuff. I want to hear the episode.
Well, you should have told us at the beginning that you don't want us to speak at all during the episode.
Ever again.
There's commercials. It's not like we care what's on the commercials.
But I would have forgot about the funny stuff by the commercial.
Take notes.
No. That's not my style.
Then I'll just have to wear headphones next time.
Do it.
Yeah, I feel like
I think that's a better solution.
Fine.
Me and Rachel were having fun.
You guys can watch shows together, and I'll watch them on my
Sounds
own.
like a
Oh my
plan.
gosh, do you want to do commentary during
Let's do
Rogue
it.
One to piss him
Yeah,
off?
let's do it.
Let's do it.
You
the
sit on
theater.
one
At the
side, I sit
theater.
on the other.
Let's
We
do
go
it.
full Mystery Science Theater on it.
I'll report both of you.
We're not going to the Alamo.
Yeah, what are you gonna
AMC
do?
doesn't care.
They do care.
They
Except-
do not. Did
It's
you?
like when
were
you
you
go
there
screaming
during Civil War?
howler monkeys behind you.
That wasn't AMC.
Yes, it was.
I'm pretty sure it was.
That was Cinemark.
No, that was AMC.
It was. Cinemark. We were
one off
at
Miriam.
Dickinson.
No, we were at the XD screen at Cinemark.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. Anyway, moving on. So, any final thoughts? Should we give it a letter grade like we do movies?
Ooh.
Overall?
Yeah, just an overall.
C+.
I was gonna give it a B minus. I felt like, considering how ambitious it was, that nobody's ever done something like this before, they did a pretty good job.
I'm going to give it like a 77%, where you're not sure if it's a C or a C+, but it's in there.
Depends on the curve.
Yeah, depends on the curve. Because those two the Supergirl episode not even being a crossover, but being advertised as that.
Yeah,
then the 2 of the 3 episodes were not good. Really, I mean,
I thought Flash was good.
It was all right.
I don't think it was anywhere near as good as the Arrow episode.
When you see how good Arrow was, it was
completely ignoring Savitar and Savitar and Alchemy was weird.
Well, I think that Arrow...
Not even bringing it up to
No,
Ollie.
yeah, the ignoring it thing was kind of frustrating. But I think that Arrow had the advantage of being able to focus on its own history for 90% of that episode.
Yeah.
Flash didn't get to do that. Flash had to be the bring everybody together episode. And I feel like the story's going to suffer from that because you have to bring together 4 TV shows of people on 1 hour-long show.
Split it between Supergirl and Flash.
Obviously, I agree with that. I just mean the comparison's a little bit different. Arrow had a less complicated task at hand. They pulled it off incredibly well. I don't want to take anything away from that. But they didn't have as hard of a job to do as Flash and Legends of Tomorrow.
True.
So, all right.
But we're going to talk about the shows in season...
Sometime in season 3 of Screen Heroes.
Sometime during the mid-season break.
Yeah.
I forget exactly when. So all right. So here's the deal. We are having our 50th episode on Tuesday, December 6th, live on Twitch at 8 p.m. Central. Please join us at twitch.tv/heroespodcasts. That's plural. Ray, do you want to tell everybody why the 50th episode is so important?
Because you could win stuff. We're giving away things to people who voted during the voting process.
Of what? What did they vote for?
The winners
of
all the different categories.
I didn't say what the thing was called. I just said it was our 50th episode.
Oh, the Screen Heroes Award.
I was trying to pitch that over to you.
I thought you did say it. I'm sorry. The Screen Heroes Awards, 50th episode, 17 winners.
17 categories.
Yes. And 17 winners of you guys. So you still have time to get in there. I'm still tallying up votes and everything. So hit up our website, leave us a comment, you can go to the Facebook or Instagram and write your winners on each of the categories there. It's not too far back in the history. You can easily find it by searching through the photos.
Or just go to heroespodcasts.com and we have an article up there under news that has all of our categories with all of the nominees, and you can comment there about who you think we should win each category. Please, if you vote for someone who's a nominee. We've had a few people who like to vote for people that aren't nominees, and they're not going to win. I'm sorry.
No, I don't even count that, so no.
But as always, you can find us at Heroes Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Tumblr, and Patreon.
And if you're missing our Patreon pitch, I'm not doing one on this because this is a quickie podcast we decided to do last minute. But go back to our Tuesday episode, which I think is on YouTube now. And if you're not going to watch the whole episode, watch the last 5-10 minutes and get that Patreon pitch.
Just press play, hop in the shower, and listen to it all. It's fine.
Yeah, but if you don't want spoilers for the movie, I'm saying.
Yeah, we on episode 49, we reviewed Disney's Moana. So
don't say Mona, you'll make Hawaiians cry.
So go check that out. Next week is our 50th episode. We're very, very excited about it.
Hour and a half, we'll bring back 6 different guests. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a good time. So thanks, everybody. We will catch you all next time. Bye.
Bye.